Welcome back to the Open Wheel Offline League Season 4, Race 14. We're here at the second leg of the Triple Crown. It is a foggy day at Pocono Raceway, 250 miles ahead. Without further ado, let's go through your starting grid, and we start at the back with the number 54 of Mahavir Raghunathan. Struggled in qualifying. It's been a difficult time for this team on the ovals. As we move up to 23rd is the number 95 of Ethan Martz, who didn't have much better success. Then as we move up to 22nd, we have the 99 of Brendan Hubbard making his first start here at the Pocono Raceway. And then 21st, Jacob Abel still continues to struggle with qualifying on the ovals, also struggling in qualifying Robbie Lohr, which has been a trend the last few races, has just struggled to find pace. And then in 19th is the 07 of Catherine Legg, starting deep in the field, currently second in Rookie of the Year standings. 18th is the number 90 of Guy Gagné, returning to Pocono Raceway for the second time. And then in 17th, got some simulator training and some car development, Miles Rowe, starting a little further up than he usually does on the ovals. 16th, another difficult qualifying for Gale Barnhart while his teammates find success. He's going to be starting deep in the field. And then 15th is the 47 of Lindsey Brewer. All the Banshees of Little Miami cars did get some well-needed development, so they're a little bit further up the field than you'd normally see them, but deeper in the field than where you'd normally see them. The number 18 of Callum Ilott, starting pretty far back, hasn't won at Pocono before, but has raced here twice. In 13th, a previous pole sitter at the track, the 00 of Glover Lohr, starting in the middle of the pack, and right in front of him is the number 77 of Stingray Robb, starting in the outside row 6 in 12th. But he is alongside the points leader, the number 11 of Louis Foster, looking to back up his win at Indy in this Triple Crown, starting a lot further back than he would have liked, all the way down in 11th. 10th, Alessio Deletta, only 2 top 10s in the season. He won here last season, so this could be a good place to turn his season around. And then in 9th place, it's your defending winner, Chet Jordan. He won at Watkins Glen, so we're going to have to see what he has today. In 8th is the 29 of Benjamin Peterson with his third best start of the year. Pretty solid effort from him. And then Yuki Tsunoda qualified 7th, and the team was pretty happy about that. Row 3, it's the other two Swindlers cars. Shane Van Gisbergen starts in 6th. He's only 9 points back on Louis Foster now, closed the gap with a good result at Watkins Glen. And then teammate Dorian Pin just in front of him in the Teal 03, looking for her first win of the season. In 4th, it is the number 9 of Connor Zilic. The 9 team has won here at Pocono before, back in Season 1 with Logan Sargent. So we're going to have to see what kind of pace he has. Then in 3rd is the number 25 of David Malukas, a strong showing in qualifying, makes him the highest qualified rookie in this race. And then to your front row, it's the number 64 of Ryan Preece, who is just shy of getting his 6th pole of the season, but looking for his 3rd win of the season, won the last oval at Iowa. But on pole for back-to-back races, it's the number 33 of Marcus Armstrong. So that is your starting grid. You'll see them scroll across the top. As just a reminder, we are not going green this time. A yellow will be thrown so we can have a double file start. Let's take a look at your weather. As you can tell, it is quite foggy out. This race takes place on August 2nd, 2 p.m., 4 mile per hour wind speed. It's also quite hot, 80 degrees, track temp 103, but incredibly foggy. It's going to be an interesting day for racing. Been foggy here at Pocono before, so Nothing new, but the track is quite hot, one of the hottest races we've had this season. This race is going to be one that could be anyone's race. You're going to have a lot of close wheel-to-wheel racing. I think a lot of cars are going to be in it to win. It's going to be 100 laps, so it's going to be 250 miles. And we're looking at about, I'd say, 2 to 3 pit stops. You may not want to lead this race for long because you're going to burn a lot of fuel. So we're going to have to see what Marcus Armstrong does at the front of this. He did do well at Watkins Glen with an extra stop than most of the field, but that's a road course. This is an oval. You're losing about a lap if you pit under green, and you do not want to be trapped a lap down if a yellow flag comes out. And knowing how close the racing here at Pocono has been, you don't want that to happen to you. Armstrong finished second at Watkins Glen. That moved him from 20th to 15th in the point standings, well above the leader circle cutoff. But a good day today could put him close to the top 10 and give the team a lot of money. Almost 20 times the average race payout is paid here at Pocono. The only car in the field that has won before is the 87 of Alessio Deletta, who finished second, first, and second at the Triple Crown last season. He's starting in 10th, one of his best qualifying efforts of the season. So, do not count him out. Pocono, called the Tricky Triangle, has 3 distinct turns, as 2 cars are pitting at the back of the field just for a top-off, so essentially a pit lane start for Catherine Legg and Brennan Hubbard. But they are going to give up their starting spots. The 1 lap to green will line up double file. Here's a look at the track. Turn 1 modeled after the old Trenton track. It is the highest banked on the circuit, but also the tightest. Turn 2 is the fastest, modeled after Indianapolis. That's where you may see a lot of big trouble. And then turn 3, it's flat, similar to Milwaukee, so we raced there earlier this season. Legg and Hubbard with pretty long stops, so they may have had some damage on the formation lap. They were kinda near each other in the same area, but nearly 30-second pit stops for both of them. So here we come around turn 3. As you can see on the wall coming up, it's going to say what turn 4, as there's only 3 turns here. As let's get ready to go. Pace car will pull off. 250 miles ahead. Marcus Armstrong leads us to green. As here they come barreling down into turn 1. It's going to be close, wheel-to-wheel racing. Ryan Priest slipping back on the high side as David Malukas slots into second. And now he's already going for the lead, going into the tunnel turn. This is where it could get tight. 3 wide back here, Shane Van Gisbergen on the high side. Alessio Deletta moving forward, already up to 8th. as David Malukas, your leader. Connor Zilic trying to battle Ryan Preece. Preece now alongside Armstrong. First lap in the books already. As Malukas now leads Preece, but Preece looking to the inside. And he's going to get it, and Marcus Armstrong gonna follow through. As now Armstrong trying to size up a pass on the lead. Going to the inside. And he's going to be able to pull it off, so Marcus Armstrong now to the lead. At the end of lap 2, now on to lap 3. Side by side back here for 4th. As Yuki Tsunoda slots, nearly puts it 3 wide. This track is very wide and can allow for some dive bomb-esque moves, as here comes Ryan Preece on the inside of Marcus Armstrong. Armstrong going to be high in the turn, as now Preece to the front. Already 3 different leaders in this race. David Malukas has fallen back to 5th. Points leader Louis Foster runs down in 14th, not gaining many spots, and right in the middle of the Hornet's nest. Chet Jordan has dropped back to 17th. Didn't have the start he wanted, as Connor Zilic now moving forward on the inside of Marcus Armstrong. A little strung out at the front here, but these 3 are all on top of each other. Armstrong nearly tries to make it 3 wide, as Connor Zilic will now get to the lead. 4 laps, 4 different leaders. No one wants to lead for too long, or else you're burning a lot of fuel. Shane Van Gisbergen leads this second group, who has now fallen over a second behind. As Zilic leads at the front, David Malukas on the inside of Ryan Preece. Not going to be in the slipstream, so he's going to have to drop into line. As here comes the 64 on the inside into turn 3. You can see on the track map that the whole field is all on one straightaway, as here comes Ryan Preece looking to make a pass on the inside. Zilic going to hang strong on the outside. He's going to have to run off the turn. With the fog, you can barely see all the way down to the other end of the straightaway. So the spotter's having a difficult time today, as Preece now into the front, as Armstrong battles Malukas for P3. The number 9 team has won here at Pocono before. Season 1 with Logan Sargent, but Connor Zilic looking for Rookie of the Year, maybe even a championship. He's not out of it yet, as he's going to go to the inside here. Into turn 1. This is what the spotters see. You can barely see all the way down the backstretch. Can barely make out which car is which. This is what the number 9 sees. This is what the 33 sees. You can see the battle in front of him. We have a couple cars falling off the back. One of which, Callum Ilott, has now dropped all the way down to 24th somehow. A lot of time being lost by these guys. We're up at the front. These guys breaking away. David Malukas losing the draft just a little bit, has dropped back about a second. As, he nearly slides all the way up into the wall in turn 2. Benjamin Peterson leads the second group. Shane Van Gisbergen has dropped back to 9th. Ryan Preece would love a good result here today. Could possibly give him the points lead. Right now on lap 9, it's been clean so far. Louis Foster has now cracked the top 10, sitting in 11th right behind his teammate Dorian Pin. Right now, Ryan Preece burning a lot of fuel at the front here. Marcus Armstrong content with riding in 3rd right now. As Zilic going to go to the inside and he's going to take the lead. You do get 2 bonus points for leading the most laps. As Preece going to try to go to the inside here. Zilic going to be on the high side. Good run off the turn for Ryan Preece. Armstrong rides 2 to 3 tenths back consistently on this lap. You take a look at the dashboard, Zilic currently going 200, but the speed is going to build up a lot of acceleration as Armstrong gets into 2nd, 240, just shy of 250 as he has to back out before this first turn. Armstrong on the high side. Not going to have much momentum in turn 2. Full field spread across 10.5 seconds. David Malukas has fallen back into a group with Benjamin Peterson and Yuki Tsunoda. Peterson had a solid run at Texas before issues where he made contact with the 99 of Brendan Hubbard, but had the fastest lap. Tsunoda won at Texas and David Malukas was 2nd. So this group trying to work together. 5 seconds back is where you'll find the 43 of Shane Van Gisbergen, currently side by side with Stingray Robb. Points leader Louis Foster has dropped back to 14th. Dorian Pin in 17th. Chet Jordan, usually a guy that's really good on these super speedways, all the way down to 19th. So not quite having the pace, and then there's this group at the tail end. Guy Gagné, Cal Milot, Catherine Legg, Ethan Martz, and Mahavir Raghunathan. You can tell the field really starting to spread out now as the tire wear starting to become an issue. It is a hot track. We'll be looking at pit stops around the lap 30 mark. If you can make it to about lap 34, which on the timing tower will be lap 37, you'll be able to make it to the end as Zilic way offline. May have picked up some dirt and debris on the high side. Is Marcus Armstrong going to drag race Ryan Preece to the line? Now Armstrong leads the way down the front stretch. Ryan Preece looked like he could have won at Indy, but then got too aggressive battling lap traffic and crashed out. But right now, leading the way here, you can start to see a little bit of a debris line forming up on the high side. Let's go to the blimp cam, as you cannot see much. I'm surprised that they even let the blimp in the air. Zilic in the lead. Field now spread out over 11.5 seconds. So about a quarter of a lap behind. Armstrong leads going into the tunnel turn. Ryan Preece is probably going to try to get a run going into turn 3. He's actually not quite there. Whoa, all the way down below the yellow line for the 64 of Ryan Preece. That got very sketchy. He did back out of it, but he lost a little bit of time, but should have no problem catching up to the draft once again. As Connor Zilic now going to get a run going into turn 2. And will now take the lead. Good, clean running, but very close side-by-side racing. As this group, right in the middle of the pack, you're seeing a lot of shuffling of positions on the timing tower as they try to figure out what position they'd like to be in. As here goes Alessio Deletta, looking for the lead of this group. Benjamin Peterson leads this second group, which is another group of three, and have been about 3 seconds off consistently. Then 2 seconds behind them is a big swarm. Deletta gets a little loose. A wiggle coming out of turn 3. Nearly 3 wide on the front stretch, Miles Rowe on the inside. Let's go on board with Shane Van Gisbergen to see what it looks like in the swarm. That was a bold move to the outside. Quite sketchy out there. Deletta looking to have a very good day today, currently running in 7th. Looking pretty solid. Ryan Preece and Marcus Armstrong have kind of left Connor Zilic behind. He's fallen about a second back, which is starting to leave the draft of these top two. So losing some time as the 64 and the 33 pull away. You can see how much Zilic has lost to Armstrong. He is closing back in again, but not quite enough. Still about a second back. This group has lost a little bit of time, about 3.5 seconds back. Malukas starting to lose this group as Van Gisbergen now leads the second group, but Stingray Rob is right there. I'm surprised that this group has been able to keep it so clean. Got Jordan at the back of it. Not looking too hot as of now. Cal Milot leads Guy Gagne. Dilic now starting to close in. Let's go on board with him to see if he can close in. Already up to second, as Armstrong's going to get the run off the turn. Marcus Armstrong looking for a move in the tunnel turn, as Zilic gonna try to go by Preece. Not gonna be in the draft here. The 64 gonna get a little bit of a tow. But Zilic is gonna have the low side. And he will clear Ryan Preece. See if he can try to go for the lead. As Preece now on the inside. Nobody wanting to wait back. We're closing in on some green flag pit stops. Now the gap between first and last is now 15 seconds, which is starting to be quite interesting, as you may have to see the cars at the back get lapped near the end of this race, which would provide some very interesting driving. As these two continue to swap the lead, I wonder what their fuel number is. They got to make it about 10 more laps. Be in the safe zone of only having to do a two-stopper. So I wonder if these cars, now that they're losing a little bit of time, are saving a bit more fuel than the guys at the front. Try to make it to the end. So these guys really trying to push. But we're going to have to see if that's beneficial or not. Points leader Louis Foster now down to 17th. He's starting to fall a little bit off the main group. He's now going to get passed by Jacob Abel and fall down to 19th. So just inside the top 20 for Foster. Last race winner Chet Jordan starting to move forward a bit. Now kind of in the middle of this pack. As we are 3 wide going into the tunnel turn, Zilich backs out, but he's immediately going to try to pass on the inside for a crossover. Not sure a crossover works in that. Whoa, that is some very close racing. Armstrong nearly gets into Priest there. Closing in on a third of the way in this race. We are already over a quarter in. Very interested to see what the fuel situation is. David Malukas looking to the inside of Peterson for 4th. I bet this group back here is probably saving the most fuel. No Swindler's car currently in the top 10. Dorian Pinn is the best one so far, sitting in 11th. All Banshees of Little Miami cars in the top 10. Peterson 6th, Brewer 9th, and Deletta in 10th. Brewer did well at Indy. Currently sits just outside the top 10 in points. If we do get some green flag pit stops, it's really going to come down to the pit crews. Because you don't want to lose too much time and lose the draft. As the second group has closed in just a little bit. It was nearly 4 seconds, now it's back down to 3. See some rubber being kicked up there. But these guys slowly reeling them back in. As these guys constantly swap for position. So the back of the field in turn 3, or sorry, the front of the field in turn 3, the back of the field going down the long pond stretch as Armstrong pits now. This is very early and not a good sign for either of them. So we're going to have to see what happens. But they came in at the end of lap 29. You need to make it to about lap 34. As Zilich, I believe, is coming in this time. Yes, he is. Priest and Armstrong, 9.6, 9.7 second pit stops. These guys also coming in. So now we're going to have to see the swarm, which of them can stay out. Brennan Hubbard now leads the way in the 99 car as the number 9 of Connor Zilich coming to make his stop. 33 in the 64 currently going into turn 3. Armstrong leads Priest. 9.7 second pit stop. As you're going to see the number 9 come out on the inside. Going to be ahead, but the 33 should blow by here. As no one quite looks able to make... Well, actually, Brennan Hubbard is still out there on lap 32. Catherine Legg also out there. And we know these guys pit early on, so gonna have to watch to see what happens with them. Peterson did lose Malukas and Sonoda just a little bit. So Hubbard still gonna stay out. Catherine Legg, I believe, is coming in. But right now, the 99 leading the way. And currently just behind Dorian Pin. We're gonna have to see where he comes out, but this 99 car may be one to watch at the end of this thing. It would be a surprise win if he could pull it off. But we knew Fuel was going to be an interesting story all day long, as the top three have found each other once again. David Malukas and Yuki Tsunoda have pulled away from Benjamin Peterson by about a second and a half, so not a very good pit cycle for Peterson, and lost a good bit of time. So the 99 in pit lane now. Gonna have to see what this stop looks like. Nearly a 10-second stop. He's going to come out. Just ahead of Stingray Rob. So actually jumped most of this pack. They're going to catch him not too much later. This middle pack got pretty separated. Whoa, Dorian Pitt and Miles Rowe very close in the tunnel turn. And nearly got together. Louis Foster has dropped all the way down to 21st, had a bad pit stop. As this is looking like a rough day for the 11 team. He's going to need to try to salvage something out of this if he wants to hold on to his points lead. Shane Van Gisbergen not in the top 10 either, but this could be a good points day for Ryan Preece as he hunts down his second championship. Consistency been an issue for the 64 team. So they've nearly pulled a second and a half on Connor Zilich. Back here, Benjamin Peterson closing in on his group. But Connor Zilich now 2 seconds off the lead. A second and a half off Ryan Preece. Peterson did show us that it is possible to close in, but he doesn't want to be swallowed up by this group. So the 99 of Brennan Hubbard in a little bit of an interesting situation. Made it fairly long. Armstrong and Priest continue to battle for the lead. Connor Zilich back by 2 seconds now. Then a further 3 seconds to Malukas, Sonoda, and Peterson. And then 5 seconds behind them is where you find Lindsey Brewer, Brennan Hubbard, and Stingray Robb. Couple of underdogs in this pack. But don't count him out, Alessio Deletta with Shane Van Gisbergen battling for 10th. Dorian Pin, Glubler, and Miles Rowe, the next group. Then it's Chet Jordan, followed by Jacob Abel, Catherine Legg, Gail Barnhart, Guy Gagne, Robbie Lord, Louis Foster, Ethan Martin, and Mahavir Raghunathan, and Callum Ilott. off the back. The front of the field now less than half a lap behind the last place cars. So lap traffic likely to be an issue in this race. Village still struggling to close in. Malukas, Peterson, and Tsunoda follow. As if I'm the 47, I'm going to try to make the 99 push more, make him burn more fuel, knowing that this is the car that made it the longest on fuel. You're going to need to make it to about lap 67 now if you want to make it to the end. That would be 33 laps to go. As for a two-stopper, the guys up at the front looking like they may need to do an extra stop with only a few laps left at the end. If I'm these guys and you knew how soon you pitted, I would really start pushing, turn up the heat. And it seems like they have, that they've left Connor Zilic in the dust, as he is now nearly closer to this group than he is to the front group. These two continue to battle as Van Gisbergen and Deletta have been swallowed up by Glubler and Rose group. Ryan Preece way up on the high side in turn 1. Connor Zilic down by 3 seconds. 3 seconds behind him is Tsunoda and Peterson. Lucas a little bit off of them. Rob now leads the second group. Van Gisbergen and Rowe currently side by side for 10th. A lot of cars in interesting spots right now. Brendan Hubbard started all the way back in 22nd and has moved up to 8th. And if he saved enough fuel, he could be making it to the end. Let's go on board to see if he is saving any fuel. Possibly, as he's going to go to the inside of Stingray Rob and lead this group, which is what he probably shouldn't be doing, as the leader's now only about 15 seconds behind the lap cars. Callum Ilott having a tough day today. Just no speed in it at all, it seems. Pretty much hanging on for dear life. Either he has some damage or is just really that slow. We're not too sure. Peterson now 3 seconds behind Zilic. Zilic 3 seconds behind Armstrong. As this race is starting to play itself out. Louis Foster all the way down in 21st, not moving forward at all. This could be a bad day for him in the championship if he remains stuck down here. came in with only a 9-point gap on Shane Van Gisbergen, but right now it looks to be tied. Ryan Preece, I think, may jump him. As yes, where they stand right now, Ryan Preece would be the points leader, and by a pretty decent gap, about 10-ish points or so. So Ryan Preece looking to have a good day. That would be 3 podiums in the last 4 races. But him and Armstrong looking to be battling for the lead and the win, as you can really start to see it's pretty empty back here. The field very spread out at this point. Malukas doing an over-under on Benjamin Peterson. Yuki Tsunoda is losing the draft of this group, nearly 1.5 seconds back. We're going to have to see if he can close back in. We're closing in on halfway into this race, but it still looks like it could come down to a coin flip on which of these two get the win, if there's no one that can secretly make it to the end like the 99. The 99 of Brennan Hubbard went long. The 07 of Catherine Legg went long. Catherine Legg, however, all the way down in 20th, but is able to save a little bit more fuel being in this swarm. This is, I believe, the closest together pack. This group right here is also pretty darn close. Then you have the breakaways. The top 9 are all kind of just 3 separate groups, besides Zilich, who's lost his 2. Lucas and Peterson slowly closing in, but not quite in the draft zone yet. Tsunoda has now fallen 2 seconds behind Peterson, as he may be gobbled up by the 99s group shortly. As you look at the best time, let's try to see who has the best lap. I think it may be Malukas with a 39.47. Yes, I believe it is Malukas, just a little bit over Armstrong. So right now the 25 does have the fastest lap of the race. Does award 1 bonus point. Village was actually much faster than Armstrong and Preece. That time by, he is closing back in, I believe, 2.3 seconds now, and has pulled out nearly 3 seconds on this group again, so Connor Zilich, not done yet. He can continue to close in. He could rejoin his group up at the front, and a good pit stop cycle could put him back in this. Miles Rowe just inside the top 10. Chet Jordan sits 11th. 2 spots back from where he started. Armstrong and Preece started on the front row, and they currently sit 1-2. As we are starting to get to the point where the leaders, if fog wasn't so dense, you could maybe see the lapped cars. I have to see down the Long Pond stretch. We can see them yet. Not quite. Just a little bit out of range. But they trail about 30 seconds back, so that means they're only about 10, 11 seconds ahead of this group. Ragunathan and Ilot will be the first two that will go a lap down. Callum Ilott did not do very well at Indy, and it seems like his struggles will carry over to Pocono in this Triple Crown. Louis Foster right behind Guy Gagné going into turn 2. He's also not doing how he did at Indianapolis. Was a fair bit off his teammates, but his teammates also not running too hot right now, 14th and 16th. But all it can take is one yellow flag to bunch the field back together, and it could be anyone's race. We are over halfway at this point, 55 laps in. Village no longer closing in as much as he was. This group's still about 2.5 seconds off of him. Tsunoda has dropped to nearly 4.5 seconds behind Lucas and Peterson. So he's probably closer to Stingray's group, who are about 6/10 up on the group that is battling for 10th. That Jordan looking for a top 10 to back up his win at Watkins Glen. Right now runs in 12th, right in the middle of the field. Shane Van Gisbergen kind of falling behind the group in front. He does not want to fall to the group behind him. He has raced here at Pocono before, but he finished in last place after a big crash early on. Took him out of the race. Right now he trails the leaders. As you can see, Connor Zillage back into frame again. He's closing in once more, as I think the side-by-side battling that these two are doing up at the front are really bringing him back in. These two have probably traded like almost every lap. So I don't know which of them will have the most laps led award. If I had to guess, I'd say Preece. Armstrong has led a good amount of it. But I can certainly tell you it's going to be a absolute slugfest between those two at the end if it does come down to them. Group that's battling for 10th still pretty close together. They have lost Shane Van Gisbergen as he is starting to fall into the group behind him. Must be struggling with the tires or something. He has lost a lot of time. Jet Jordan in 14th. Moving forward, Dorian Pin sits in 13th. Right now, Benjamin Peterson having a good day. He is right on the leader circle cutoff. So if he can finish where he's running right now, he'd be looking pretty solid. As now, I wonder if you can see Ilott and Ragunathan on the Long Pond stretch. Still not quite. We are most certainly closing in on having to deal with the lap traffic. These two both look, as here comes Armstrong. He's going to be the first to pit. That gives Priest the lead. As these two are going to be split up, may make each other lose each other's draft. So Armstrong pits at 61. So he is most definitely going to have to pit again at the end. If you can make it to 67, which on the timing tower would be when it says 70, you'll be able to make it to the finish. As I believe Priest is coming in this time. 9.6 second stop for Armstrong. And Zilich will follow right behind. David Malukas will stay out. That'll give him the lead, so he'll get a bonus point there. Noda also follows. So he's going to be a little broken up from his group. Armstrong just came out of turn 2. You can see on the track map where that orange 33 is. .9 second stop for Priest, 9.8 for Zilich. So Armstrong's was much quicker, as he'll easily beat both of them out. Peterson and Malukas come in. Neither of them can make it to the end. Let's see if Brewer has enough. She's going to stay out. Stingray Rob has to come in. We have to watch for the 99 as yellow flag. It is the 87 of Alessio Deletta, as that has just turned the race on its head. The 99 has found the wall. Let's see what happened here. He was battling with Chet Jordan, just came down on him, and he's going to come into the wall. Chet Jordan drives away, but Alessio Deletta gets the worst of it and will bring out the first yellow flag. So let's try to see an onboard here. We'll see if he could even see him. As he tried turning in, just didn't know he was there. As you take us to live, these guys just barely not going to make it on fuel. We're going to have to see if these guys at the back have to pit, which that may have really hurt them. Gagne going to be stuck one lap down. These two trying to figure out the order back here. I believe Malukas may have jumped Priest and Zilich. Maybe. We're going to have to see where things stack up. But I assume we're going to see almost everyone. Maybe a couple guys at the back will try to stay out and see if they can save to the end. But Armstrong and Priest have just found themselves at the back of the field. So the 87 of Alessio Deletta out of the race. The cars that have pit: Armstrong, Priest, Zilich, Tsunoda, Malukas, Peterson, and Rob is catching up to the group. Gagne also pit, but he is trapped one lap down. So Brewer leads, as she will bring everyone to pit lane. As we're going to have to see if these guys are going to stay out. They're trying to make it to the end. But will they have enough fuel? They're going to have to save a lot here. Going to have to see who gets out first. The race off pit road. Brewer is going to get it, followed by Hubbard, Glubler, Peterson. Fell back a good bit. Rowe, Abel, Pin, Martz. He jumped a lot of cars. Legg, Jordan, Ragunathan, Robbie, Barnhart, Van Gisbergen, Foster, and Eilot. Foster and Van Gisbergen, not good stops from either of them. Lost a lot of spots. But it's going to be interesting to see if any of these guys can get to the end, and I don't know if they'll be able to. But it's going to be very, very close. But just in case they can't, look for whoever is leading there. You can see who was able to pit under the yellow and who had to pit a little bit before. Gagne will end up back on the lead lap, I'd assume, if he can get the lucky dog. Alessio Deletta out of the race. He will finish in last, which is not what he wanted for the leader circle points. So the field going to be brought back together. Guys at the front desperately need some more yellows. They hope that there's some carnage in the middle of the pack. And with a side-by-side restart, anything is possible. As up top, you can see the current running order scrolling across your screen. It's going to be an amazing battle to the end. A lot of cars trying to save. And I don't even know if the cars that pit under the most recent yellow are going to be able to make it. I think they may have been like 2 or 3 laps short. They're really going to have to save to the end. A lot of cars going to be on fuel save mode. As Armstrong's going to bring us back to the green. Pace car going to pull off. Any more restarts after this will be single file. Let's get ready to go. Green flag is back out. Marcus Armstrong brings us back to green. Priest and Zilich going to be side by side into turn 1. This is a good chance for everyone to make up some positions as everyone's going to be right together. 34 laps to the end. It's going to be quite the fuel save if you're going to try to make it. Lindsey Brewer up to 4th. That 47 car looking mighty dangerous. Tsunoda up to 3rd. Zilich has dropped all the way down to 7th. He is losing a lot of time. Priest goes to the lead. Yuki Tsunoda going to try to be right there with him. He's going to be side by side with Armstrong, but Armstrong going to have the run off the turn. Zilich has nearly dropped out of the top 10 as he is 3 wide coming into turn 1. Ian Peterson will back out of it as Jacob Abel now moves into the top 10. A lot of people know that this is their last chance to gain a lot of spots. Brewer trying to go to the inside of Tsunoda. Tsunoda's going to be able to hang on. Well, Lucas has dropped back. Zilich is out of the top 10. Stingray going to go around Lindsey Brewer as Armstrong back in the lead of the race by 3/10. But Priest not far behind. Fresh tires. Everyone running at peak performance right now. Priest going to try to look for the lead going into the tunnel turn. And he's going to get it. Armstrong now down in second. Sonoda not far behind him. But Stingray's going to try looking for third. He's going to try to go to the high side. Connor Zilic has dropped all the way down to 12th. Had a very bad restart and has lost a significant amount of time. Armstrong and Priest starting to gap the rest of the field. They are trying to make it to the end the best they can. Robb and Brewer battle for third. Lindsey Brewer is now going to be in third place here. David Malukas now in fourth. He's moving back forward. There's 1 second to Priest and Armstrong, who are side by side going into turn one. Easily the class of the field today, these two. But what will their fuel situation be? Connor Zilic is back in the top 10. He's now up to 9th. As the 47 of Lindsey Brewer looking for race win number 3 in her career. She's won a Triple Crown race before at Indianapolis. But that was last season, not this season, so the $5 million bonus not available to her, only available to Louis Foster, who sits all the way down 18th. Shane Van Gisbergen has dropped to 21st. Swindlers of the Immortals not having a good day. A lot of underdogs in your top 10. Armstrong tried to go to the high side to get around Priest. They have gained about a second and a half on the cars behind. Benjamin Peterson back up to 5th. As he's going to try to shoot for a gap in the middle. Teammate Lindsey Brewer on the high side. As he's going to get a run off the turn. But not going to have any drafting help down the Long Pond stretch. But still able to get there. And he is almost able to get Malukas. Connor Zilic now back up to 5th. Malukas trying to close in on the lead. He is gaining a good amount of time. Wants to be a third car. Priest and Armstrong still swap the lead up at the front. Malukas back by 1 second, 1.5 seconds to Connor Zilic, who's back into 4th. So moving forward once again. Top 10 have a little bit of a buffer behind them to Robb and Glub. At 10th and 11th for the Magenta Trees. These two not able to keep up as much. Zilic has a little bit more speed than Malukas. He showed that earlier in the race. But does he have enough to close back in on the leaders? If everyone has to pit, it's going to be at the very end of this with only a couple laps left. There's going to be some cars that try to limp across the finish line with nothing in the tank. As here's the battle for third. Lucas still holding off Zilic. As Priest and Armstrong still battle. Armstrong going to go to the inside in turn 3. And he's going to have the lead back again. Zilic now ahead of Malukas. See if he can try to reel him back in. The gap to 5th has been built. And 11th has closed back in on 10th, so they're not too far back now. There's a big gap to very back here. Right behind Louis Foster, a big gap that has Shane Van Gisbergen and Callum Ilott, 2 of your championship leaders. Foster not having a good day. Eilot not having a good day. Van Gisbergen not having a good day. The only one in the top 5 in points that's having a good day is Ryan Preece, who sits second right now. But that 33 is going to be tough to beat. And will they be able to make it on fuel? 24 laps to go. It's anyone's guess. Here comes Connor Zilic to the inside. He's caught back up, and he is going to get second at the line. But now the top 3 have formed up again. David Malukas not too far off. We're going to have to see if he can keep up or if he drops back, but Connor Zilic back in this. Looking for his second career win, second of the season. Priest sits behind in second, Armstrong back in third. Peterson in fifth, trying to chase down Malukas, as Malukas is 1.5 seconds off Armstrong, who is kind of losing the top 2 just a little bit. Down by about 0.6. As Zilic now back to the lead. Priest, with a daring move, goes to the high side. We have 22 cars still on the lead lap. Guy Gagné got trapped a lap down with how the yellow flag came out. And Alessio Deletta now out of the race after being the cause for the last yellow. As Armstrong is not closing in, he is now down by about 0.7. It really needs some solid drafts to close back in. It's not impossible. Zilic showed that it can be done. Bill Malukas has the fastest lap of the race with a 39.47. Still not that far off of it. David Malukas still also pretty much on his own. Stingray Rob in 5th, followed by Tsunoda and Rowe, so the Eventide racing cars sit 6th and 7th. Banshees of Little Miami 8th and 10th. Brendan Hubbard having a good day, sitting in 9th so far. These two Silly Men racing cars just outside the top 10 sit 11th and 12th. We want to get into the top 10 to get that sponsor money. Chet Jordan going to go to the inside of Guy Gagné. Gagné, a lapped car, sits 1 lap down. As Armstrong has lost the top 2. He was the 3rd car out and got shuffled behind. As now it's down to Zilic and Priest. They sit 3rd and 7th in the standings. 18 laps to go. Who can make it to the end? Both of them pit on the same lap. That would need to be about a 38 lap stint and a 40 lap stint for Armstrong to be able to make it to the end. I don't think that's possible. For the cars that pit, it's going to be 36 laps. That is also quite difficult to do. So if I had to make a guess, I think everyone's going to have to pit once before the end of this race. but it is quite still anyone's race. If a yellow flag comes out, some cars can get back in it, but if it stays how it is, it's going to be these two that battle it out. Armstrong just does not have the pace anymore. Malukas down in 4th. Brewer leads this group for 5th. 11th still has not been able to close back in on the top 10. They're just up the road but haven't been able to get there. They're about 1.5 seconds behind them. As this group back here, Eilot and Van Gisbergen, what a rough day. And Louis Foster has lost his group. He just doesn't have the speed today. There's basically no speed in that 11 car. Globler trying to close in on the top 10, but doesn't have the pace. I think these guys want Guy Gagne to get out of the way. They can try to push. Right now, the group in 5th closing in on David Malukas. He might get swallowed up shortly. Stingray Rob going pretty fast right now. Ryan Preece and Connor Zilic still side by side for the lead. As Malukas just about to get swallowed up here. Go on board with Stingray Rob. As here he goes to the inside, he's going to get him in the tunnel turn, so David Malukas has been swallowed up. It's 2 seconds to Marcus Armstrong, but 5.5 seconds to the leaders. Preece and Zilic still holding strong. Not much time is left, but yet there may be a whole pit stop sequence in the coming laps. As Zilic going to go to the inside in turn 3. I wonder when these cars are going to have to pit, because I do believe everyone's going to have to pit before the end of this thing. Rob still leads this group, but Peterson going to go to the inside. Lucas now drops to 8th, or sorry, 6th. There's a little bit of a gap at the back of this group. Lindsey Brewer, then behind them, Miles Rowe and Brendan Hubbard. Globler on his own. Well, he's with Guy Gagne, but he's a lap car. Then Dorian Pinn in 12th leads Robbie Lohr. Still unknown who's going to get the win. One bad pit stop could end your race. One good pit stop could make your race. We're going to have to see what everyone has. Preece now ahead. 10 laps to go. From when they pit last, as we have a car off track in turn 1. That is the 07 of Catherine Legg, and that will cause a yellow. Yellow flag is out, and we are going to have a shootout at the end of this. The 07 of Catherine Legg has crashed out, and the 18 as well. The 18 of Calamilot involved as well. Oh my gosh. So 3 wide into turn 1. Legg. Oh my gosh. Just slightly made contact with Van Gisbergen, and that sent her into the catch fence. And Calamilot, I think, got some damage in it, and he will come to a stop. That's going to end a rough day for him. As let's go on board with the 07. So just slightly into Van Gisbergen, then hits Ilot and ramps off of him. And is going to fly into the catch fence. Big accident. Let's go on board with Ilot. So, yeah, just can't really see it coming, but the steering is out of alignment. And you had a car land on top of you. There's not much you can do about that. But Zilich was in front at the time of the yellow, so we're gonna have to see if cars pit here, because I believe the guys leading will probably have to, but now since there's a yellow, the guys at the back may not need to. Eight laps to go. A late race yellow may have just changed everything. As Zilich is going to stay out, but Priest and Armstrong are going to pit, and they are going to give up their track position. Zilich believes he can make it to the end, but the cars that have been dominating for most of this race are going to have to pit late. Heartbreak for the 64 and the 33. Unless they can make up all those spots in 7 laps, they are going to be on much fresher tires. 6.8 second stop for Priest, Armstrong 7.0, but they are safe to the end. Zilich is going to be very close. I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to make it. Gagne is going to get back on the lead lap here. So fresh tires for the 64 and 33. We're going to have about 5 laps of green flag racing at the end of this thing. The yellow flag comes out, that will probably end the race. Top 10. Zilich, Robb, Malukas, Sonoda, Peterson, Brewer, Rowe, Hubbard, Glubler, and Pin are your top 10. Priest has dropped back to 19th, Armstrong in 20th. So that has left things wide open. Ilot in pit lane, they're trying to send him back out. These cars running very low in the turn just to try to make it work on fuel. You look at the stint length. These cars are going to be very, very close. I just don't. I think the top 4 may all need to pit again. I think that's too much. And everyone that pit at the last yellow, that's also going to be quite a stretch. But it's not impossible. But no one earlier in the race got there. So we are going to go green this time by 5 laps to go. Priest and Armstrong now at the tail end of the field. And it's going to come down to utter fuel save. This is a season-defining moment if you can win here. But it may just come down to luck of the draw. We have no idea who's going to be able to make it. As here they come, off turn 3. 5 laps to go. Who's able to make it to the end? Green flag is back out. Connor Zilich leads us to green as he's going to get a decent jump on Stingray Rob. It's a single file restart this time. Rob in second, Malukas in third, Sonoda in fourth, Peterson in fifth. He's the first car that pit at the previous yellow, so he should be the safest, but even then we're not too sure. Priest and Armstrong in the best spots. We're going to have to see if they can cut through the field. They do have fresh tires to play with. Stingray Rob looking for a second career win. As no one comes in that time, everyone is able to keep going. Here comes Stingray Rob looking for the race lead. He's going to try to go to the inside, but he can't get there. Ryan Priest already up to 17th, moving forward. But it's just a little too late. He needs cars to come into pit lane. Stingray Rob trying to go on the inside. Can't quite get there. David Malukas going to be on the high side. He's going to get around, followed by Yuki Tsunoda. Coming to 3 to go. Priest has nearly made his way back into the top 10. Armstrong having a little bit more difficulty cutting through traffic. Tsunoda 2 tenths back. David Malukas is about half a second back from Tsunoda. Zilich leads, but does he have enough to make it to the end? Tsunoda's going to go to the lead in the tunnel turn. 27 looking for a second win of the season and a second win for Eventide Racing. Connor Zilich 4 tenths back. Does he have anything more in it? Two tenths back, closing in on Yuki Tsunoda, but can they make it to the end? The top 4 did not pit under the last yellow. They're going to be very tight on fuel. Ryan Priest has gone back into the top 10 as we are coming to the white flag. Who is able to make it? Connor Zilich doesn't come into pit lane. He's going to bring us to the white flag. Yuki Tsunoda is going to be right on him. Will they be sputtering coming across the line? Yuki Tsunoda is going to be on the inside in the tunnel turn. But can Connor Zilich fight back, or is that the end? Yuki Tsunoda to the lead on the last lap. Into turn 3. Zilich not on his rear bumper. And it is going to be for the second time this season. Yuki Tsunoda, he's going to win at Pocono. Zilich will finish second. Very close, but could not get it. Malukas will be another podium in third. Stingray Rob, best result of the season, in fourth. Then Benjamin Peterson will finish fifth. An absolutely street fight of a race that came down to a fuel save. Nisba 27, who was able to pull it off, went for a move in the tunnel turn. That will get it done. I think the number 9 may be out of fuel on pit lane. Somehow was able to make it that many laps. As let's take a look at your finishing results. It's Yuki Tsunoda who wins the race by 2.5 tenths over Connor Zilich, who gave it a very strong effort, but not enough. David Malukas will finish third for another podium on the season. Stingray Robb, season best fourth. Benjamin Peterson will get a top 5. Lindsey Brewer will finish in 6th. Miles Rowe will finish in 7th. Globler Lore will get another top 10 in 8th. Ryan Preece, heartbreak for the 64 team. He'll finish down in 9th. 10th will be the 99 of Brendan Hubbard, as he'll round out the top 10. Jet Jordan will lose his top 5 streak. He finishes 11th. Dorian Pinn in 12th. Marcus Armstrong also led for a good amount of the race. Unfortunately, will come up short in 13th. Louis Foster will finish 14th, as he will probably hold on to the points lead, but not by much. 15th will be Robbie Lohr, 16th Gail Barnhart, 17th Mahavira Gunathan, 18th Jacob Abel, 19th Guy Gagne. Disappointing result from Shane Van Gisbergen. He'll finish in 20th. 21st Ethan Martz, and then your cars involved in the last accident, Callum Ilott and Catherine Legg, and then Alessio Deletta crashed out early on. So that is it from the second race of the Triple Crown here at Pocono. Up next, we go to West Virginia for the first time at Summit Point Raceway. Qualifying will be on Tuesday, and there may be a couple extra entries, so make sure to watch for that, as that's it from Pocono.